As I've said, this is David. David Tinsdale Hughes in English, David Tonsmunyu with Hywell in Welsh, and David Hughes in English, also known as previously, and David Hywell in Welsh, always known as, also known as previously. Bringing you after my six-pointed salute, and mentioning again about the volatility of the world and instability of the world that we currently live in, and that's perhaps nothing new, but I do think the pointers are there for potential more instability and volatility moving through the future, particularly with all we face with climate change and the massive changes that will happen and occur through this century due to climate change. The potential of civil unrest, civil disturbance, civil war, war outbreaks, and all instances regarding disasters and all similar things, and particularly given the ways of the ruling classes and the governmental political classes, and their what appears to be increasing inability to manage and govern the nations of the world, and and their ability to mold together in the way they should be, given we're in the 21st century, forgetting lessons of history throughout the realms of time, which they clearly have and are, regarding many things, and again mentioning the fact that there is war in Europe, there's war in many places in the world, including Uganda, as it was. I mean, Burma, as it was. There's war on the border of India and China. The Taiwanese situation with China isn't particularly good. There's war in parts of Africa and parts of the Arab states, and there always has been war in the world. I don't think there's ever been much of a time when the world hasn't been free from war. However, we still have lived through, in my lifetime, for 50 plus years, or since the Second World War, more so to the point being longer, in the most peaceful times in the world that the world has ever seen, in terms of not having that much war, and yet there still has been war in the world. I do think that we're back in a changing world, and perhaps not for the better. I mean, times come and go, and we to and fro, and we ebb and flow, and things change, and we ebb and flow some more. So, I think that it's not an absolute determinant that the future is not bright, and that the future is particularly bleak. But however, I do think that there's certain pointers and indicators that sort of suggest that troubled times may be ahead for the rest of the century, on and off, on an on and off basis. I mean, I will say, and I'm not suggesting for one moment that governance of a nation and being in the political class isn't an easy thing to do. But without doubt, for quite a number of decades to lead us to this point in time, and continuing looking around the world in this year and last year, they are making an absolute mess of the entire world. And there's so many, including the UK, whose governments are leading their populations down a highway to hell. Okay, it's a lot worse in some countries, but when you think and give the situation that we're in, and we could be in, and we should be in, and just where we're heading, and how it all is, and the mountains of debt, and everything that they've got so wrong for so long, and continue to do so, in my opinion. I mean, I don't necessarily, and I'm not suggesting that all the things that they're doing are wrong. I do think that it's a wrong timing for knuckling down and taking a harder line that the government is, particularly given the fact of their past history. But that seems to be their answer. That rather than manage and govern the country properly, run into trouble and run into crisis after crisis, and then make everyone pay even more, and even cause more pain than there needs to be. And if they had have managed the country and governed the country adequately to begin with, certainly during the course of my life, we certainly wouldn't be in this mess. And the point is, will we get out of this mess? Because, and I really do. And that every country in the world is in similar boats. Some are in worse boats, and I can really, all the indicators are there for complete financial meltdown. I mean, totally fucking massive financially meltdown, and I'm sorry for the swearing, but it does annoy me, and I mean, I've been through a personal journey of hell. For many reasons, but including the political classes and the governing classes, that they're not innocent. They're guilty of much. They really are, and much that most don't realise. But the writing is on the wall for civil disturbance, civil war, civil riot, and wars throughout the world. And it's sad. And it's a pitiful state that could certainly have been avoided. It doesn't mean it will definitely happen. I'm perhaps painting a bleak picture, but it's not looking good. Put it this way: climate change will either do two things. It will either unite the world more, or it will rip the world apart and cause absolute chaos and catastrophe throughout the world in every direction. And I really think that the world is sleeping, or much of the world is sleeping regarding climate change, and just what it is going to bring to this world, and just how significantly the world will change, and the disasters that will be brought to this world, and the cost to the world as a part of climate change. And I think that as usual, the governing and political classes are asleep at the wheel, and just freewheeling the vehicle of the nations down a highway to hell, without doubt. Without doubt, without doubt. So that brings me to my one-handed salute, leading from my six-pointed salute that you can find on YouTube that I posted earlier. This is my one-handed salute. Sorry, one-handed salute. And then that leads me into my in the face of the enemy three-pointed salute. And then that brings me obviously to all those are on side, and my three-pointed ally salute, which is so they're my two three-pointed salutes, enemy and ally, and my one-hand salute, which is appropriate at certain times in life, perhaps. God forbid anything happen, but I'm not an advocate of war. I'm certainly not. I pray for peace. I pray for love. Love is the higher law. I'm not an advocate of civil war, but there really does become a time when what can you do? But like has happened in many countries, civil unrest, civil war, world national war, and it goes on. But let's hope it doesn't come to that. But I'm personally not happy. I'm personally not happy with this world, the way the world's been shaped, the way the world is over my lifetime and since the wars, the World War, Second World War, because all the world's done is go downhill. They recovered for a bit, maybe financially, but then, they've made a mess of it in my lifetime, an absolute tragic mess of the entire world that will take the rest of the century to get out of, and that's the best outlook that I can give. I would say 25 to 40 years. Realistically, if in the UK, and it's similar throughout the world, that's it. That's if the UK and the rest of the world is managed and governed adequately, and yet it hasn't been in my lifetime ever. There hasn't been a